And going back to the music, there's something else also that you should know. So back in the day there, if you couldn't buy the music or you heard a song but you didn't know what it was, you listened to what was called the charts. And the charts are still going today. So this normally was on a Sunday evening, 5 till 7 p.m. And it was on BBC Radio 1, and it would give you the top 40 songs that were current right then, including the UK #1. So you would sort of sit down, tune in, you'd have your boombox or ghetto blaster, which was a stereo that had 2 tape decks in it, and you put a blank tape in and you'd wait patiently for the song that you really liked to come on, and as soon as it did, you'd press the record button and you would hope that the DJ just doesn't speak over most of the song as it's playing, and then when it finishes you press stop. That was the main way to consume your music, and then you'd use another blank tape and you would swap that song, you'd play it on your boombox, and then on the blank tape you'd record, and then you'd have 2 copies of the same song, and then you would share them with your mate or share them with your friend. And that's how rave music also sort of spread underground. So the record companies had bought up all these DJ producers or music producers and just started chucking out their music, and we had lots and lots of dance music. And then what happened is you'd have the ravers, and raves slowly started to die, but I think probably by about 1993, 94, by which point everybody had then transitioned into clubs. So all the ravers and the people who like dance music were just going to clubs because the clubs were everywhere and they were all playing it. And during that period between sort of 1993, we had music which was called crossover music. So this was music that you might hear at a rave, but you also might hear in a club. And one of those tracks was, of course, Alison Limerick's Where Love Lives, which is being used on the John Lewis advert at the moment. But there are a whole plethora of other tracks that were also what were considered crossover tracks. So there were some tracks that were played only at raves, but they were so good, and when people were listening to them on their mates' tapes and stuff and in the car, that the radio station started to pay those independent producers to buy that track and then broadcast it on the radio and put it out on albums. So as we spread from the 90s, you got subgenres of music. So we had what's called the super club. So this wasn't just a little club in your local town that might maybe hold 200-300 people. These were huge music specific venues that would hold thousands of people, and sometimes they had different floors as well. So you could have like a bottom floor which is a chill out room, and then your main floor for dancing and stuff, and they would stay open until 6 in the morning. And some of these clubs are still going. If you've heard of a club called Ministry of Sound, which is in London, that's still going now, and that's one of these clubs that you could go into at 9 o'clock at night and you could just dance and dance and dance and dance and then come out at 6 o'clock the next morning. So these super clubs were absolutely huge. And then during the 90s, the genre of music started to diverse. So we then got jungle music, we got garage music, and then eventually in 2001, I think it was, a guy called Daniel Bedingfield made a track called I've Got to Get Through This. It went to the UK #1. It made it top of the charts for a few weeks. But what was particularly noteworthy about this track was he made it in his bedroom on his own on a computer. And then, of course, from there on, you know, the rest is history. Most people now produce music on their computer. Almost all DJs use some kind of software, and you might even used it at school before. You don't really hear much about Daniel Bedingfield now, but you would have heard of his sister, Natasha Bedingfield, who had a resurgence last year on TikTok with her track, These Words. And so that finally brings us back to the beginning of a conversation and our 3 questions. So the first one was rave music, or were raves the last music revolution? And I think the answer to that is probably yes. Because it was organic, it wasn't organised, it wasn't paid for by big companies, it wasn't planned, there was no marketing structure behind it, it just happened. And those moments of dancing with someone you've never met before, in the middle of a field, or a group of people you've never met before, but having that unity with your own unique, never heard before, special type of music, I think makes that a revolution. Because up until that point, music was kind of following a straight line. As technology progressed, it was kind of staying on board. The record labels were dictating it, and then when rave came, it's almost like it took a completely side direction. It was a new sound, a new community, and it was just something just so different and so unique. And I think now that we can make music with, we can make pretty much any sound we want using software. The question has to be, how do we make a new sound? You know, what can we possibly produce that hasn't been done already? So I think, if I had to guess, if there was another music revolution, it'd only be one of two possibilities. One would be AI, and I'm not talking about the AI now, which just learns and copies. I'm talking about truly independent AI that could in some way create a type of music or a specific sound of music that none of us have heard before, but for some reason we all absolutely love. It's a long shot, but it might happen. And of course, I suppose the other possibility is music like fashion goes around in a full circle, and we kind of go back to sort of ancient tribalism, where we would all sit round a cave and bang a drum, and you know, somehow that becomes in fashion. But I can't see it happening, to be honest. It's a bit like us getting used to the food that we eat now, our sweets and our 3-course meals and whatnot, and then being told we're just having boiled potatoes. We're going back to boiled potatoes, and that's all we're having. I can't really see that happening. Other than that, I think we have to say that the rave generation was the last true music revolution. And then also let's look at the John Lewis advert. So why is that being talked about so much? Okay, so to start off with, John Lewis have an image problem. So they're John Lewis and Marks and Spencer's, and their image problem is that when you think of them, you think of pricey. So have you ever sat next to someone and they're eating something, you go, oh, where did you get that from? And they go, oh, Marks and Spencer's or John Lewis. You go, ooh, that was really posh. And it's kind of like an in thing. If people shop at those shops, then they must be posh. And that's an image issue that John Lewis are trying to shake off. So this Christmas, what they've done is they haven't focused on the cost of something. They focused on the value of something in their advert. And how that works is the guy who's in the advert, who gets given the record, the dad, when he plays it, it takes him back to that Clubland moment where he is just there with the music. And it gives you a shot of dopamine, it makes you feel good. And that value to that record that's given to the dad is a value. So it's not about the cost of how much the record cost. It's all about how much that moment meant to him. And it has a high value. And they didn't, you know, they had to tread a careful line here. They didn't actually do a clip of the man dancing in the middle of a field like at a proper rave, because in today's age where people will complain about all and anything, if they'd have done that clip of him in a rave, then there would have been people going, oh, I don't think you should be promoting illegal drug use and people going into people's land and dancing. So instead what they did was they did it in a club, which almost everybody from back then in that generation went to. Even if they only went to a club once and didn't like it, they did go clubbing at some point. And the other thing that they've done well is they've used a crossover track. So that track, Where Love Lives, wasn't just for the ravers, it was also for the clubbers as well. And they probably considered just doing it where the guy himself goes to the shop, buys the record, comes home and plays it. But by adding the son into the advert too, what they're doing is they're saying, you don't have to buy your dad some socks because it's cheap. Why not buy him something that has value? And the difference between cost and value, to give you an example would be, let's say you go out with your nan and you have a great time and she buys you this £2 cuddly toy to remember the day by. In a few years time your nan dies and you've still got this cuddly toy. So the cuddly toy, it doesn't matter that it costs £2. Its value is of the memory that it gives you of when you went out with your nan. And what John Lewis are trying to do now is disassociate the name John Lewis and Marks and Spencer's with the cost of something. Instead, it's all about the value of something. So if you go and buy something from John Lewis for someone else, you're buying something that's of value, so the cost is irrelevant. Whereas of course all the other all the other shopping stores are focusing on the cost of things. Like a bag of Brussels sprouts is 50p, and oh, we beat Aldi, our Brussels sprouts are 50p also, that kind of thing. And the piece of music that they've chosen is spot on as well. It's got that piano riff in it, and it's just great. So I think moving forward, everybody's going to be looking or immediately thinking, when they think John Lewis and Marks and Spencer's, they're not necessarily going to be thinking about the cost. And then the last question of, does today's generation know how to rave? I work with young people all the time, and my answer is absolutely. So when we've got these clips of people at gigs and they're just standing there holding their phones and filming the DJ, and then they just get a load of hate for it, I don't understand. Because the gigs that I do, like I do year 11 proms, these guys rave, and you can check out my channel, you can look at the video. These guys are dancing, and I know it might just be 6 or 7 minute clip and you're thinking, well, those are just the clips where they were dancing. The rest of the time they were either sitting down on their phones or they were standing in front of me just filming me. It's not the case. That's not how it is at all. And even on the proms from the year before, and even on my year 6 videos, you can take a look. They're not just clips of when the kids are dancing. The kids are dancing all the time. So I struggle to believe that these young people then get to 2 years later and all of a sudden they don't know how to have fun, they don't know how to party. I don't get it. I absolutely do not believe that's the case. And I'm not saying that to big up me, like I'm some amazing DJ, because I wouldn't class, I'm certainly nowhere near as good at mixing as a lot of the DJs I just see on TikTok, let alone the ones that you pay to go and see. So I'm not blowing myself up. What I'm saying is these people are the same everywhere. So if they're going to gigs and you're getting pictures of these young people at gigs and they're just standing there filming the DJ, then I have to wonder about whether that whole scenario has been managed properly. You've got someone like James Hype who's mixing 4 songs at one time. His technical skills are unmatched by anyone on the planet. So are these people going and recording and not dancing because they've paid a lot of money to see him and they want a recorded version of that? So they're missing the moment because they want to make sure they record the moment. Or have we just got the wrong DJs for the wrong group of people? So if you've got a group of young people and it's been announced or advertised as a certain party, have you got the right DJ for that? Is that why they're standing there? Or could it be the price? Honestly, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I absolutely don't agree that young people do not know how to enjoy themselves, because I'm telling you, they absolutely do. So I think there's some false information coming out there, or things are being blown out of proportion. I don't know what it is. So moving forward then, what can you do to follow up on this video? Wow. The UK charts are still going on BBC Radio 1. It's on a Friday from 4 till 5:40 p.m. So tune in to BBC Radio 1. You'll get the album charts first, and then you'll find out what the UK #1 is. It also now obviously includes music streaming and YouTube streaming as well. If you want to know more about raves and you want to actually see it for yourself, you don't have to take my word. Get yourself on YouTube and Google clips from raves 1989 to 1993, something like that, using those sort of keywords. That's what you're looking for. And you will see plenty of just amazing clips of people raving, cars being towed. But more importantly, look in the comment section. because the comments are from the ravers that were there before the John Lewis advert. And then just lastly, if you want to experience rave music for yourself, keep an eye out on my channel. I'm going to do a live rave mix for about an hour, hour and a half. But there is one rule. You have to put yourself into the same position as we were back then. So no computer on, no TV on. You can't be on your phone constantly doing WhatsApp, doing games, chatting. You have to be sort of isolated somewhere in your bedroom or out on a field with a group of mates, and that's it. You have to pay attention. Them's the rules for that. But I will let you know when that will be. There's my stuff I have to do on TikTok gets pushed right to the back of the queue of everything else that I need to do. But keep an eye out and I'll do a promotional video. I hope you guys found that fun. That was just a step back in time. And there was so much more I needed to say. I had sheets and sheets and sheets that I made notes because I wanted to try and remember. I'd been thinking about everything for days. But any ravers who are watching, by all means, pop it in the comments. Tell me what your great memories were. I'd love to hear what your version of events were and how you felt. But that's it. Bye for now, guys. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you soon.